What's up, guys? This is another episode of Know Your Worth TV. I'm your host, Efrain Lozada. And if you guys haven't seen last week's episode, no worries. Go back. It's still there. We had Jackie Wilson from Eat My Treats. But today, another special person. This guy, me and him go way back from our Subway days. And, we've been able to work alongside one another, really kind of grow with one another. We're not too far apart in age, but I love what he's been able to do. He's also an inspiration to me as much as he feels that he's not. And he is now a personal trainer, has really, for the last 2 to 3 years, has put so much into his fitness. And when I kind of got back into the gym, he was one that really kind of guided me to make sure that I stayed consistent throughout. So Mr. Eric Close. What up, brother?
How you doing? It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, man. So if people don't know who Eric is, go ahead and explain to them, who is Eric Close?
All right. So I met Efrain back in Subway when I was 18 years old. I had literally just moved from after graduating high school, basically into the area. I was looking to transfer Subways, and I was basically choosing between you and Steve Bissendale. And my twin brother chose Steve, and so I got you. And a little bit of some hiccups there, button heads. Turns out we're both super stubborn, but you definitely taught me a lot. And I took a lot of the lessons. I feel like you were one of the first mentors I ever really had in my adult life. And you're actually also the first, I feel like, adulthood friend that I've made, like, out of everyone that I know.
You're too sweet.
You go the furthest back, basically.
You're too sweet. Listen, I want to kind of dig into that story because you make it sound like it was just that you showed up at a Subway. You and your twin showed up at a Subway, my Subway, and I thought to myself, like, I need employees. I had just got into that location. I can't remember. That's like my 5th or 6th location. And I needed great employees. And you and your brother show up, tell me how great you guys are. And I'm thinking, like, great, I get 2 of you guys for the price of 1. No problem. So I ended up with you. And I remember thinking to myself, I wish I had the other twin. Like, this guy's going to drive me up the wall. And it was all because I said, hey, listen, I'm new here. You're new here. Anything that you see can possibly be changed or any ideas, I'm all for it. But sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for, because Eric decided that he wanted me to remodel the whole store pretty much. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what the heck? I got the wrong twin. I need the other one. But over time, man, you were a pleasure to work with. You were literally my right-hand man. And whenever I needed something, just like today, this was kind of a last minute for you. You always stepped up and you did what was needed. So always appreciate you then, and I appreciate you now. And like you said, we're both 2 stubborn people that just had to learn how to work with one another. So Thank you. But listen, forget those Subway days. They were long behind us. We've both been able to grow since that, since really being part of Subway. You also not just started as an employee, but also became a store manager. Same thing for myself. I started as an employee, became a store manager, but realized that there was so much more in life for us, right? And you started to do something completely different. You went into personal training, and me getting to know you and you becoming a personal trainer, and really how much you loved it, how much you educated yourself around it, seeing the difference in you. How much did you weigh before you started training?
So I first started training May 1st, 2018, and on that day I weighed 144 pounds.
And where are you today?
Today I weigh 174 pounds.
A muscle, woo, boy! Let me tell you, man. If you gotta see Eric in person, man, and I wish that I was able to really show his before pictures, but I don't know why he didn't take any. But me knowing who Eric is, I always feel like, man, you've come a long way. 2018, we're in 2021, so about almost 3 years, right? You're kind of hitting your 3-year mark here. Yeah. What has been some of the challenges you would say to get to this level where it was straight consistency and determination? What are some of the challenges you've experienced in that time?
So honestly, I feel like, and this is something that I started to realize as I did it. So the more practice I got, this is what I realized, is that the principles that you learn and have to follow to make any progress in the fitness realm are the exact same principles that you have to follow to succeed in life. And so what I was realizing, well, first of all, the reason why I started in the first place was because honestly, I was just at a point in my life where I feel like I didn't have a whole lot of control over what was going on. And there were a lot of things, a lot of areas in my life I wasn't really happy about. And so fitness was just a way for me to take control of that. And so as I started doing it, I just dove right in. And then I realized that the principles I was using to progress in my physique and my knowledge, I could apply to other areas of my life. And I was basically getting more confident, happier. I was getting more competent, and I was getting promotions at work. Like all this stuff was happening because I was just that accountability and that consistency. And it's not even motivation, it's just discipline. Like there are times where I don't even want to do it. Like that's a big struggle. But I got to realize it's not just the short term. It's almost like a reputation to myself. Like if I just skip one day, that's not a huge deal, but why would I skip one day if it's just as easy to skip two, three? I don't want to do that.
So one of the biggest challenges you would say was really staying consistent and believing in yourself. You'd say, correct?
Definitely, for sure.
In Because I know that you weren't into the fitness, and you do have other brothers and even friends. What are some of the things that you were hearing in that time? Because I think not only is just staying consistent, but believe, like you said, believing in yourself, understanding who you are, knowing your worth. What are some of the things that people were saying to you in this process?
During this process, so at the
Yeah,
beginning,
once you got started, 'cause I can
I
only imagine people were thinking like,
I
"Eric, you're
was
not
made
gonna
fun
last."
of a lot. Like people, I had nicknames. Like people would call me chicken legs, small shoulders. Like I'd go in and I would be happy about and excited about the things that I was learning. I'm trying to share them with my friends and coworkers and all that stuff, and they'd just laugh at me. They'd be like, "Oh, look at him with this weird exercise or like whatever he might be doing." Because I'm just this 144-pound kid. Like I'm skinny. I'm a little twig. Um, I'm new to it. I'm talking to people who are much more experienced than me. But the thing is I never had a moment where I didn't believe in myself. But there were so many people that didn't believe in me. And so my mentality, I just had to show them the results. I was like, okay, well, you don't want to believe me now. When I'm buff and you're coming to me for help, we'll see who's laughing then. And that's exactly what happened.
I came to you, a couple of years after, man. But the most amazing thing was how really consistent and determined you truly were. I remember speaking to you for the first time, and I don't even know that I knew you were at the gym. I don't think I knew that, because it was a while before we stopped talking. But I remember seeing you at the gym and really seeing the difference. And today, just looking at you and thinking to myself, like, you're a whole new Eric. I mean, the dude is just so determined to reach. I don't know what goals you have in mind. But they've been excited. I've been excited to see them, excited the growth. I did meet you when you were 18 years old, and to see where you are today, it's an amazing, to see that. But would you say that you training wasn't just helping your physical health, but it was helping mentally as well?
Absolutely. I honestly, and so I value mental health just as much, if not more, as physical health. And the reason for that is because I had more mental changes than physical, especially at the beginning when I was starting to work out. Like I said, the reason I started was because I just wanted to take control of something in my life, only to find out that it was helping me be a little bit more stable emotionally and
Mhm.
mentally, and starting to make clicks as far as my mindset.
So in doing the physical health aspect of it, do you think it just kind of helped the mental, or do you feel that, like, what aspects of physical health do you feel help the mental health?
So I feel like the concept of getting stronger, just the feeling that when you go into the gym, you did a little bit more than last time, it does something to you mentally, you know what I mean? So when you can physically see yourself getting stronger and physically see yourself getting a
Mhm.
better physique or
Yeah.
whatever goals might be for that, it does something to your confidence. It lets you realize what I'm doing, it matters. Like it's
Yep.
doing something, it's working. It's actually helping me get what I want. And that in itself just builds a whole lot of confidence.
And I would add on to that because when I did start training, back into the gym, it was a goal of mine to not just get back into the gym, but to stay consistent. I think that's one of the hardest things that people. It's easy to get into the gym. The hard part is staying consistent, right? And me staying consistent. Everything that you've mentioned is exactly what has happened. I got into the gym. I started to see some difference. I started to feel different. I started to then challenge myself in other ways because I thought to myself, well, if I can stay consistent in the gym, then why can I stay consistent in other parts of my life? So when we're talking about training, it's so important that not that you have to take up on going to the gym, but it does help tremendously when it comes to the mental health. So that's the reason I asked that question, because I understood how much it helped me, and I wanted to make sure that it also helped you the same way. And for anyone that is watching, that they understand that it helps them in that sense as well, because it does build self-confidence. It does build great mental health. It does build, being consistent, not just in the gym, but other different places. Have you always had that consistency in you, or was it the gym that kind of brought that to life?
I feel like it definitely got enhanced. I always had it a little bit, and I feel like that was one of the reasons why I was one of the, I am not the average person as far as like I went to the gym and fell off the wagon and went back and fell off the wagon. Like the day I started was consistent 5 days a week, and I never stopped. So for me, it was just something that clicked for me. It was just one of those lucky things that I happened to pick the right arena that suited me really well. But the consistency definitely did get enhanced because I was realizing every day that I don't do it is not a huge deal in the short term, but it also sets you back 2 days because you got to do one day to make up for the day you missed, plus another day to get the results that you are now behind. So every day you miss, that's 2 days you got to make up.
You're right. When I don't go to the gym, a day I'm stressing, all right, because I do know that I got to make up for it. What has been some of the challenges when training people that you've seen can kind of stop people from being consistent in the gym?
First and foremost, so there's different challenges for different levels. So a beginner, a lot of them have the same challenges, but they don't have the same challenges an intermediate has. An intermediate does not have the same challenges an advanced person has. The majority of the people I train are beginners. So the biggest challenges for them are almost all mental. The only physical challenge is really just the soreness aspect, is they don't really know what they're doing enough in the gym. So like, I guess you can consider like exercise selections. They don't really know what kind of things they should be doing to work out. But it's mainly just the soreness thing. They go into the gym, go hard, one session, they're too sore to work out for the next week. But as far as the mental thing, it's an intimidation factor because they know they don't know. They go into the gym, they feel like they're being watched, feel like they're being judged, especially if they already had any sort of self-doubt or self-consciousness in them. They just feel like people are looking at them, asking them, like, what is this guy doing? But in reality, they realize, and I help them, hopefully, to realize that that's not the case. People are so focused on themselves, they're not thinking about you. So once they get over that hurdle, the mental aspect then becomes a confidence thing. Is, do I believe in myself enough to actually put in the work that I'm starting to realize is required of me?
One thing I want to mention when you talk about the mindset of the soreness. So it used to be where I used to go to the gym. I mean, I've been pretty consistent now, but in the past where I'll go to the gym, and I tell this to anyone that wants to start to the gym, because now that I am going to the gym, people see it and people notice that, like, wow, I want to go to the gym too. And I'm pretty sure you hear that all the time. But I tell people, you just have to pass those 2 weeks, because those 2 weeks are so crucial. You're in pain. There's soreness, but now it all really, the mind is play so much tricks on you, because it used to be where the soreness kind of discouraged me as well. But now when I feel pain and I feel soreness, I know that there's growth. Would you say that it's also a big key for people to change the mindset and think like, hey, I know it hurts and I know it's sore, but that means that you're actually growing muscles? Would you say that?
To a degree. So what I do actually with a lot of beginners is, because I know that the soreness is a big obstacle, what I'll actually do is ease them into it so they don't actually, I'm trying to minimize the soreness. So for the first 2 to 3 weeks that I train somebody, the goal is not to, go ham. It's actually, I'm not even working on your goals for the first 2 to 3 weeks. What I'm working on is to get your muscles used to the work so that way you're not as sore. So I like to tell people 2 to 3 days is fine for soreness. If it's any more, you went too hard. So you don't, when you're learning to fly a plane, you don't go straight to the 747s. You fly the little ones first. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. What are someone that is beginning and wants to get into the gym? What are some words of advice that you would provide to them?
Um, Number one, I would say, as far as the mental aspect goes, just believe in yourself. Motivation is a great tool to get started, but it's not going to keep you going. What's going to keep you going is a vision. Like, you have to realize what your end goal what you want your end goal to look like, and to realize that every day that you do a little bit, anything, is one day that you get closer to your goal. And as long as you believe that, it's easy to stay disciplined. And once you get into the habit, it's easy to not do something. It's just as easy to do something once you're in the habit. And then as far as the progression, I like to tell people there's a difference between training and exercise. Exercise is you go in, you do a little bit of this, you do a little bit of that, you go home. Training is exercise with a purpose, is understanding why you're doing the things you do. If you understand why, then the how comes very easily.
And for people who don't know, being a personal trainer, obviously you can go and probably go into LA Fitness and become a personal trainer through an establishment, but you're not a personal trainer that works at a physical establishment. You are your own boss. You are an entrepreneur. What are some of the challenges that you've experienced in trying to market and build clientele for those that may want to know or wanting to be in personal training or thinking of it or so forth, so may have questions? What are some of the things that you've found challenging being an entrepreneur, one, and then two, being a personal trainer trying to build clientele?
So it's mainly at the beginning. The main hurdle that I had to get over was,
Mhm.
why should I pick you over literally anyone else? And what makes you good? What makes you credible, essentially?
Yep.
So at first, I did a lot of stuff for free. I was doing a lot of things that were inconveniencing me time-wise, literally just to get experience. It wasn't about the money at first. It can't be about the money at first. Otherwise, you're not going to get what you need, because experience is what you need when you're first starting. You know what I mean? You learn along the way what needs to be upgraded or improved to become more efficient at what you're doing. But for me, it's kind of like it builds the credibility. And at that point, the credibility is confidence. And I remember, so my actual know your worth moment for me
Okay.
was,
You just skipped ahead. Don't even worry about me asking. Go ahead and
sorry, sorry.
You're good. I was
Like,
just
okay,
joking.
so it pairs well. So it was a very specific conversation. So it was someone who I've actually been helping for a long time,
Okay.
mentally more so than physically. I've given him a couple tips and tricks, but I'm not even currently training him. He does definitely have plans to train with me. He's just waiting on a couple things to kind of line up in order to do so.
Hmm.
But I was having a conversation with him, is I have a buddy who is a trainer also, and he is a 220-pound block of muscle, essentially. And so people look at him and they look at me and they're like, well, that dude's big and jacked. Why can't he
Yeah.
train? And that was not verbatim, but it's basically the question he asked me. And so what I said is, okay, well, you can go hard and look good for 10 years with that guy, or you can train smart and you can feel good and look good for 40 with me. I don't know about you, but I want to still be able to do this when I'm 80. And I kind of just left it at that. He was like, all right, I'm picking you.
Is what made you credible at that time, right? That was that, like, let me let you know why I'm a better option than the other person. Um, with being a personal trainer, being someone that is not looking like The Rock, because when people think of a personal trainer, at least even my mindset was I'm looking for the biggest guy possible. What are some of the things that people should know when choosing a personal trainer? Obviously, you can't judge a book by its cover just because you're not bigger than the next guy. You kind of touch those points. What are some of the things that people should be looking at when they're looking for a personal trainer? I think that's a question that people may want to know.
So one thing I will say about the whole being big and jacked and ripped is that
Mhm.
there are professional bodybuilders that don't know what they're doing. I'm just going to put that out there. They either have coaches themselves who just tell them what
Yep.
to do. There's a lot of people that have coaches, and
Yeah.
the coach know what they're doing, but the bodybuilder never learned. He just tell me what to do and send me home. It's basically how it is. But as far as what you should be looking for is not every personal trainer needs to have abs. You know what I mean? If you're bulking, for example, you're not going to have abs. That's just the nature of it. So if you're trying to get bigger, you're not going to have that summer beach body look. What you need to be looking for in a personal trainer is, do they actually care about your goals? All right. As far as obstacles, does this trainer know how to get around obstacles? If you have physical limitations or restrictions, are they capable of modifying something so that you can feel good about what you're doing and not trying to push past some sort of pain or discomfort or even some sort of mental self-doubt? I mean, I have clients where the barrier of entry for an exercise is not strength, it's confidence. They just don't want to do it because they feel some type of way about doing it. So you have to be able to modify that. And so a good trainer cares about these things and will make the necessary accommodations for the client. So it's not just helping them reach their goals, but helping them reach it in a way that their lifestyle is enhanced and doesn't suffer in any sort of way.
And for those that are wanting to start working out but are afraid to go to the gym, I feel a lot of people are like that. Like they want to work out, they're a little discouraged to go to the gym. They want to do some at home workouts. What are some of the good tips and tricks that you can provide someone that may be in those shoes that say, "Hey, I'm kind of discouraged. I'm not very comfortable going to the gym. I don't may not have the funds for a personal trainer this time, but I would love to start at home somewhere." Because I think people don't realize you don't got to go to the gym to work out, right? I remember during the quarantine, when the pandemic first hit, you were at my house all the time and we were doing just body workouts with a band. So what's
Yep.
some of the things that you can kind of give tips and tricks for those that are watching that may want to start working out from home? How can they start?
Okay, so for me, I'm just gonna kind of answer that via what I was doing during
Okay.
quarantine. Because number one, I hate home workouts. I get so bored doing them. I just can't. So I can't
You're
focus.
killing it though.
I would do it for 10 minutes. I'm a trainer. I would do the workouts for 10 minutes and quit because I didn't want to do them. So basically, what I had to do to myself is I had to figure out, what do I need to give myself? What environment do I need to be in so that I can actually focus the way I should be? And so I would literally leave my house to do a home workout. I would do it out in the street. I would do it I have a tennis court in my neighborhood. I live in an apartment complex. I would take my weights, I would take my bands, and I would go to my tennis court. And so I'm putting myself in an environment where there are no distractions, where the only thing I can do is work out until I'm done and then go home. The second thing is finding something that actually keeps you interested. Like, that's the bottom line. Like, if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to stick to it. You're not going to be consistent. That's the same with diet as well. Like, if you're picking a diet you can't stick to, you're not going to. That's just the bottom line of that. But as far as home workouts, you can do a lot with your body weight. It's actually what I recommend for a lot of people is master your own body before you try to just add weight to things. Simple things like squats, lunges, if you can't do that because of knee or hip or back issues, any sort of like straddle squatting. A lot of people would recognize that as more like sumo. They probably heard that term a little bit more often. Basic, get a pair of dumbbells, do some pressing of some kind, push-ups, things like that.
When you
Sit
talk
ups.
about, you mentioned dieting, how important is that with working out is, can you do one or the other? Do you have to do both? Can you start with dieting first? How important is that?
Okay, so as far as dieting goes, it's about 80% of the results that you get. You can't outwork a bad diet. I'm just going to say it that way.
Mm,
Have the best training program in the world, but if your diet is not on point, your results are either going to be slow or stagnant. However, if you have an incredible diet, not only does your training get easier, but if your goal is just weight loss, like if you only want to lose body fat, you don't even need the gym. I would recommend it, but it's not required. You can lose body fat just through diet alone. But I would say, depending on how overweight a person might be, I definitely recommend starting with fixing the diet at least a little bit at a time as far as habits go.
okay.
And then as you start to slim down and be able to have control over your own body, then start incorporating exercises. Because if you're having trouble getting, up and down from the couch, I probably, like, you're not going to be able to do squats and lunges if
Yeah.
you can't hardly get up off a couch.
And people don't realize that, man. I was talking to somebody said, I can do pull-ups. And I'm like, you may think you can do pull-ups until it's time to do pull-ups. Like,
Pull-ups are hard.
pull-ups, pushes. Look at it's always funny because just because I start going to the gym and people see a little difference, they always think they can do what I do. And I think to myself, like, you're funny. Like, I didn't start what I'm doing now. This was literally 10 months in the making. And even then, I'm still not where I would love to be.
Mhm.
But you can't just wake up and think that it's going to happen. You truly have to put in the work. So many people have goals and visions, but no execution. So if you're one that wants to go to the gym, you want to get in shape, it's very important. Like Eric is stating, it's not just going to the gym either. It's going to the gym and watching what you're eating. Because if you're going to the gym, but then you're going home and you're just eating the burger, the fries, the milkshake, what was really the point? You know what I mean? Like you have to really make sure that you're working on both of them. Eric, as we wrap up, we do have a couple of minutes here. I know you've mentioned a little bit about the know what your worth moment, a little bit when it came to the fitness, but in life, what was that know your worth moment that's gave you that I'm going to do personal training no matter what anyone tells me, because you weren't into fitness prior? What made you leave Subway, leave being a manager to say, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? I want to personally train. What was that know your worth moment?
That moment for me, I mean, that was more so a process than an actual moment. It was the mental clicks, the feeling that I was getting more competent, which led to the confidence, which led to me just being content. And as far as realizing it's what I wanted to do, is when people came to me asking for help, it was a huge boost for me because they went from laughing at me to asking me to help them. And then when I actually did help them, especially when it worked for them, it just confirmed that what I was doing was the right thing. It made me feel good to be able to help them, and just made me want to be able to help more people. So it's just a way for me to be able to do that, because when I train people, I don't just touch on the physical aspect of things. Like I said, I value the mental aspect of it as much, if not more, than the physical aspect. Is I want to help people lead less stressful lives. I want them to have healthy habits that they can carry well into their 80s and 90s for the rest of their life. That once they're done with me, they don't need me anymore. You know what I mean? Like after 6 months, they shouldn't need me anymore. They might still want me, but they should be able to have at least a foundation built that they can follow for the rest of their lives and get what they want out of it.
If you guys are watching, everything that he's stating, where you won't need him after the 6 months. I think we worked out for exactly 6 months before, and our schedules kind of conflicted, so we had to kind of not work out as much together what we used to. But it is true, and that's what I really love about you and your personal training. And I've known people that you do personal train now that also feel the same way, that they enjoy, because you truly care not just about lifting the weights, but how can I help you eat better? How can I help you, train better, easier? Because it's not always about lifting heavy weights, but it's also about doing it correctly. So those are the things that when I got with you, is what I was looking for is like, hey, I know how to lift weights, but I need to know, is my form good, right? So when Eric talks about personal training, he truly does care about his job. It's something that he's passionate about. A lot of times, like he states, he wasn't doing it for the money, but he was doing it because he loved what he does. And I think that's when someone finds their passion, where they can do something, love it, and it's not about really the money. Obviously, we have to have a foundation and a life, and as an entrepreneur, it is a business. But I think that's really what kind of intrigues me about you, man. You do these things truly to help somebody else mentally, physically, and emotionally. Because when you are going to the gym, it changes your life. And I've experienced that in just the last 10 months of being consistent to go to the gym. So Eric, it's been an honor to sit down and have this conversation with you today. But for those that may want some personal training, some more tips and tricks, where can they find that information?
So the main way to contact me would be my Instagram. That's Entercore Fitness. My phone number, I believe, is listed there. You can also hit me up in the DMs on my Instagram page. DMs. But yeah, I generally lead with consultations. So just because I believe I'm a good personal trainer doesn't mean I might be the best one for you. There are other options. I do know other people, but I generally lead with consultations. And if I believe that I can help you, then I will work with you.
And really quick, for those that may want to, they're thinking to themselves, consultation, what does that entail? Can you kind of run down a little bit before we go ahead and disconnect?
All right. So basically, it's what are your goals? What are you actually trying to accomplish? Do you have deadlines you're trying to accomplish them by? Are there any obstacles in the way, such as what kind of lifestyle things that are kind of been preventing you from doing this before? Any physical limitations? I take those heavily into account. I've worked with a lot of conditions like back pain, knee pain, diabetes. I've worked with some even more rare medical conditions, vertigo, something called orthostatic tremors, vasovagal, which is a heart condition. I've worked with a lot of that stuff. But as far as, sorry, can you repeat the question one more time? I lost my train of thought.
Really, just what the consultation entails. So you kind of really hit it up.
Yeah, I mean, the consultation is your goals. What are you trying to do? When are you trying to do it by? And setting you up with a plan. If I believe that it's not just about if I believe I can help you, it's do I believe that you have what it takes in yourself to help yourself. Because I can see, just talking to someone right across the table, I can see right off the bat whether or not I believe you're going to be accountable to yourself. That stuff is readable in a person.
For sure. Once they start making the excuses and all that, yeah, for sure. Listen, we're experts at that. I think being leaders and being the management for so long, we kind of understand that a little bit. But Eric, it's been a pleasure to sit down with you, kind of chat about personal training, fitness, mental health, physical health. And if you guys want to get trained or want some consultation or whatever it is and have any, also, if you go to his Instagram page, you'll see all types of different things that he does there, from training to motivation to quotes of the day. So make sure that you guys do follow him on Instagram. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. This has been Know Your Worth TV with Mr. Eric. Don't forget that we're back again next week, Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like and share. See you later.